right, let's have a good time tonight. Well, I've been to the river, I've been baptized, I've been washed in the blood of the Lamb. I was changed from the creature that once I was, and redeemed is now my name. I've been changed, I am newborn, all my life has been rearranged. What a difference it made when the Lord came to stay in my heart. Oh yes, I've been changed. Though my sins, they were scarlet, they're white as snow. I was bound, but today I am free. I was lost in the darkness, but now am found. I was blind, but now I see. I've been changed, I am newborn, all my life has been rearranged. What a difference it made when the Lord came and stayed in my heart. Oh yes, I've been changed. Like a poor Hebrew children, I wandered long in a bare desert land to and fro. But I crossed over Jordan to Canaan's land, where the milk and honey flow. When at last in His presence I stand above, He will wipe all the tears from my eyes. And I thank Him for giving a wretch like me lasting hope beyond the skies. I've been changed, I am newborn, all my life has been rearranged. What a difference it made when the Lord came to stay in my heart. Oh yes, I've been changed. What a difference it made when the Lord came to stay in my heart. Oh yes, I've been changed. We're so glad to have learned this song, but it's such a precious song and tells such a story. The title of it is God Did It All. You know, we take so much for granted. Just when you get up in the morning and you see the sun come up and you see the birds as they fly, and we've got a little area in the back of our house that we pour seed, and we just enjoy watching all the birds come and eat every morning, and all of the beautiful things. You know, the Bible says in the very first verse, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it all started. And He breathed and spoke and made all of these things happen. And even to this day, we don't understand all of that. In our minds, in our finite minds, it's just hard to put together no matter. No, it just doesn't seem like we can study hard enough to figure that out, does it? But that's the difference in us and God. And you know what? Because of the fact that He is God, and we are us, and we're finite, that's why we can't understand how He made the things that He did. And you know, there was a time when He created man. That was His crowning creation. But man had everything. He was there in the garden. He had everything. He could have lived forever in the garden. Man sinned. But God still made a way because He loved us so much by giving His only Son, His sinless Son, that came to this earth and lived a sinless life and paid our price, the price on our sin. He did it all for you and for me. Things that we don't even understand. God did it all. Let this song speak to you. It has spoken to us. And I pray that it will be a blessing to you.
How do we know who set the world in motion? Who put the stars in the sky? Who separated man man from the ocean who taught the birds how to fly.
There's rhyme and there's reason for the times and the seasons, that there's only one way to define. The source of it all can only be called divine. God did it all before there was time or space. He spoke and it was. What's seen and was unseen, all there in His place, by His word, by His plan, all because man's wisdom will fail, God's truth will prevail, though the world should topple and fall. At the end, every man will declare, God did it all. How do we know that God's crowning creation one day would fall into sin? His word tells it all, and His plan for salvation, grace offered time and time again. God sent His own Son here, redemption was won here, by blood streaming down from the cross. It is finished, He cried when He died. God did it all. He did it all. God did it all before there was time or space. He spoke and it was seen and was unseen, all there in His place, by His word, by His plan, all because man's wisdom will fail, God's truth will prevail, though the world will conquer and fall. At the end, every man will declare, God did it all.
step. Well, that's exactly where she was, but she did manage to get herself back up the steps, and she was home all alone. And she got herself back up the steps and managed to call somebody to come over and help her. But even the doctor told her she's very lucky to be here. And I know that all of us are looking forward to hearing that testimony that she's got. She's given us a little nibble, but she hasn't got that into it yet. So we're going to let her tonight tell her what the fourth time for her. You got to talk to her that story about it.
I know, and I hate this thing because I kind of do it this way. But before I start my testimony, I'm going to have a little help right here.
You need to put the mic up next to your mouth.
Can't hear you.
Well, wait just a minute.
We want to hear the whole story.
Well, my helper
You
didn't,
want to do this one sitting on the stand?
no, once I get this right here, and if it doesn't fall,
Hold her butter.
I want you to look at this because two special people gave this to me, and they know exactly what it means to it. So if you can't look at it, I'm going to tell you the story about it in just a few minutes. And I'm going to get my notes out just in case I get so nervous. And I will try my best to talk into this thing. But get that right there. I don't think I'm going to need it. Owen's going to be up here and he's going to be my help. So, to start off with, I know there's several people in here that probably does not know my story, but on June the 16th, the Lord started out with me on a journey that if I had to repeat it, I would, because He has blessed me in more ways than any of you can ever imagine. I have always had a relationship with Him, but it has been stronger in the last 10 weeks than any of you can imagine. When I fell, for some reason, before I started to get up, go back in the house, you can just sit it down if you want to. But I looked both ways, to our neighbor on the right, to the one on the left. No one was home. Morgan and Keith had gone to a doctor's appointment, and it's a good thing that I didn't know at that moment what I was going to be going through. But the Lord has brought me through all that, and I just praise Him every day for what He's done for me, because I took such a fall. When I got to those top steps, I realized that I needed to put that chair there. I'd never take that chair back up those steps. I was going to sit out in the sun to relax a little bit while Morgan and Keith were gone. We were going to go to Florida, and I didn't want to be this pale white person. And I was going to get a little sun on my legs. Well, guess what? The Lord had other things for me to do, and it was not to get sun on my legs, and it was not to go to Florida. When I got to that top step, I fell backwards. I don't know what caused me to fall. I just remember I fell. I got to the landing. There were 7 steps backwards. I tried to stop myself by grabbing the little rails on the side. That didn't work. It just flipped me over. I went down the other 7 face first. When I got on the ground, I knew that I had to get up. No one was going to hear me if I screamed and yelled and hollered. No one was going to see me where I was at, because you can't see back of our house from the road. I knew that if I didn't get up, I would felt like I was going to lay there and die. But the Lord helped me up. That's the only way I can explain it. I got up, and when I did, I knew that I had a neck injury. I did not know how bad. I had to put my hand behind my head to get up those steps, and I cannot tell you if I crawled up them, but I know the Lord was with me. Otherwise, I would have never made it. I got up those steps, and when I went through my kitchen, I knew if I could make it to the sofa. I had a neck pillow there, and that was going to help. Well, as soon as I sat down with the help of that neck pillow, I thought, got that ice pack. So I got myself up and went back and got him. I knew my face was banged up, my eye was hurting, and I got a couple of ice cubes to put there, and I made it back to that sofa. And at that point in time, I called Morgan. I had my cell phone, but I didn't have it on the ground with me. I called him and I told him what I had done, and I said, you need to get home as soon as you can. I don't know what I've done, but I know it's serious. Well, then I thought about Keith, because he had dropped him off at the mall, and I thought, he needs to know too. So I hit his number, and I told him, I said, you stay right where you're at, right in front of the mall. Your dad's coming to pick you up. Well, folks, let me tell you, at that point in time, the Lord had kept me from hurting so badly. But once I got in touch with my family members, the pain started. I watched the clock, it was on the wall, and I thought, it's a 15-minute drive from Douglasville. Well, it got to be 20 minutes. Nobody showed up, and I thought, now Lord, I can't stand this much longer. But as time went on, unless you've had an injury like that, you don't know what it does to you. It plays back tricks on your mind. It gets excruciating. You don't know what to do, but the Lord was with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here telling you this. And I called Keith on his phone, and he said, Mom, we're at the railroad tracks in Douglasville. I said, you've got to be closer to home than that. He said, Mom, we're trying to get there, and there's a train across the track. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I didn't have sense enough to call 911. I just had figured that Morgan and Keith was going to take care of that when they got home. Well, I sat there and I looked, and it got to be 25 minutes, and I could see the street from where I was sitting. And here comes Morgan and Keith. Well, as they drive up, my next door neighbor, I don't know how he knew something was wrong, but he came in. Now, mind you, folks, I don't like to tell this part what I'm going to, because it serves a purpose. I had my swimsuit on. Here, all these men came in, and the only thing I could think about was my help has arrived, but look who's with them. And so when the paramedics were standing there, he said, ma'am, we're not looking at you, we're looking at your neck. I said, I don't care what you're looking at, I'm not going anywhere until I'm covered up. Luckily, I had a little dress that zips up the front, and I wouldn't let them do much for me until they put that dress on. I said, all you've got to do is just put it on and zip it up. Well, I finally convinced them they had to do that. And then they took me and they had that collar on. They sat me in that chair, and every movement they made, I felt. But I kept saying, Lord, you've got to see me through this. And he did. When we got out to, my veins roll like crazy. I just have to throw this little part in too. They have to stick me 3 or 4 times. Well, Morgan was sitting in the front of that ambulance, and he said, listen to where she tells you to put that needle, because she knows where you can hit her. He said, I've already got it. And he did. He didn't have to stick me but 1 time. That's another blessing. Well, they decided that I needed to go somewhere, have x-rays so they'd know what they were dealing with. Morgan wanted to take me to Emory. They said, no, we've got to get x-rays first. We went over to Villarica, and Bill and Janetta was over there about the same time we got there. But I was in so much pain at that time, because they had given me, before, I think it was before the EMTs got there, I had Vicodin at home, and had they not given me that, I don't know if I could have stood it. But we got over to Villarica, and then that's when I got the bad news. They told me what damage I had done to my neck. I had broke C1, which is at the very end of your spine, and C2 was cracked. Normally, and ignorance is bliss, let me tell you, if you don't know how bad off you are, you find out later and you wonder, how in the world did I survive that? And Bill told me later on how bad it was, and I didn't realize it until then. But they said that I had to go to a number one trauma center. There's two in Atlanta. Atlanta Medical Center and Grady. I did not want to go to Grady. So we went, they came down and picked me up, and that was the roughest ride I've ever had. They told me beforehand, said, you're gonna hurt, but we can't have you, we've got to get you there. And when we hit I-20, I'll never forget, I don't know the guy's name that was riding in the back with me, but he was a black man, and he was wonderful. When we got where they were working on that road, he said, Miss Wright, I'm gonna lean over you because I don't want you to move, and this road is so rough. He said, I'm gonna hold you down as well as I can, and he did. And he said prayer for me when we got down to the Atlanta Medical Center, and before they left me, he said prayer again. I could feel the prayers. If you've never been there and done that, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if people are praying for you, you really find out in a hurry that you can feel those prayers.
Amen.
Well, the next few hours is a little bit of a blur to me because I was in so much pain. And then the next thing I remember, I don't think the doctor knew how much I could actually hear. And I thought it was the same day I had fell, but Morgan tells me it was late Tuesday because I fell on Monday. And I heard him say, you know, she can lay here and die, or we can do surgery and see what we can fix. It's not a matter of if we do surgery, it's a matter of when. Well, folks, let me tell you something. I don't care who you are or what you've been through. If you've ever heard those words and they're pertaining to you, it throws you in complete turmoil. It did me. And I thought I knew where I was going if I were to die. But you hear those words, and you've got to make sure, at least I did. So I told, later that night, well, I had told Morgan before that night that I needed to talk to somebody. I didn't know Mike. He hadn't been here and been our assistant pastor that long. Brother John was dealing with his family, his mother. So I told Morgan, I said, I believe Danny's a person that I can talk to. I said, would you get in touch with him? And he did. And Danny told him he would be there the next morning. Well, during the night, my blood pressure started going up, my temperature shot sky high. Morgan said I was talking out of my head. I don't remember a lot about that, but I do know that this old lady right here started praying. That was the only thing I knew was going to help me. I prayed so hard, I don't think I have ever been down on my knees and prayed any harder than I did laying there and looking at that ceiling. Morgan was right beside me, and I prayed and I prayed, and I thought, Lord, you've got to give me relief from some of this. And he did. As I lay there praying, I heard God speak to me just as plain as I've heard anybody. And he said, I have you. Well, if you think that isn't amazing, you should hear it. All of us want to think that we know exactly what God's going to say to us, but he's full of surprises. And I said, Lord, is that you? And he said, whatever is in my hand, no one can take out. That I praised the Lord. I was afraid to do it too loud, but I didn't want to wake Morgan up because I knew he had been through a lot. But when I couldn't wait for him to wake up the next morning, and I told him what had happened to me. I said, I don't worry about it anymore. But I'm leaving out my butterfly part, so let me just back up a little bit. After the Lord spoke to me, I could feel something on my eyelashes. I reached up to touch it, and that's where the yellow butterfly comes in. That little butterfly was just, you know how they do when it was going to fly. I could see it. He just went right straight over me. And that, to me, was the Lord telling me that he had me in his hand. I was going to be all right. It didn't make any difference which way it went. And I wasn't sure that I was going to make it, by no means, but I knew, regardless of what happened, I was in his hands, and he was in control, and that I was going to be okay. So they couldn't do my surgery until Friday, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. Danny came in the next morning, and I think I don't remember a whole lot of what I told Danny, but it's probably basically what I've told you. But I apologized to him for him having to come to the hospital to try to nail down my salvation, because the Lord had already done it. But he was such a comfort to me when he came that day. I'll never forget it. I'll always praise Danny for coming and being with me during that time also. But as I went into surgery on Friday, I didn't have any fear. I knew that if I didn't make it, I was okay. But if the Lord saw fit for me to make it, I told him right then and there, I said, I'll be a witness from you from now on, because every day that I prayed before this happened, one of the things I asked the Lord was, Lord, whatever you do, put somebody in my path and let me be a witness to them. Well, I didn't know he was going to teach me such a hard lesson, but I was ready for it. So whatever he's got for me to do, I'm going to do. And, you know, it doesn't take much, but he took the long route for me to show me that I needed to work for him. And I think everybody that I've come in contact with since then, that I have told them my story, and I think that's the reason he let me survive. Because, folks, let me tell you, 10 weeks ago, 11 weeks that I failed tomorrow, I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I wouldn't have stood up here and talked to you guys and shared my testimony with you. But he has been so good to me, until I just hope you don't go through what I have gone through in order to realize what God will do for you. So, as I close, let me just say, I praise the Lord every day. I get up, I go about my business, and I know he has blessed me with my family, and they're all here except my son-in-law and my son. But they're here for me tonight, and I love each and every one of them. And I love the Sunrise Sunday School class, because they have really stood by me and done more than they ever needed to do for me. So don't fall down your back door steps just to get a blessing. I'm sure he'll do it for you just like he did for me, but it's the hard way to find out.
Amen.
They followed him on dusty roads, wherever he would lead. Multitudes would gather round, he healed each disease. With eyes of wonder they would watch as he would stop and pray. And when he spoke the words of truth, you could hear him say, here comes a miracle, here comes a miracle. Can't you feel it in the air? And look upon his face, the glory in this place. I know a miracle is near. The lame could walk, the deaf could hear, the blind they could see, and those had been bound for years were suddenly set free. With eyes in desperation, the hurting and the poor. But when they saw him through the crowd, they knew what was in store. Here comes a miracle, here comes a miracle. Can't you feel it in the air? And I carried it around at being 3 or 4 years old. How I didn't destroy it, I don't know. I mean, I was a child at that age. And I remember I was about 5 years old, and one day I looked out the window. My mom always sat down and told me about Jesus, read to me, and all this. And I looked out the window, and I was by myself, and I said, I want to be like Jesus. And I was, through the years, I've been going and I'm practicing, I know it. And a lot of things have happened. I won't go into them because they're all different stories. But I got a divorce. I was divorced. And at that time, I was having quite a bit of a serious health problem. And doctor didn't know what it was. And I remember that I was selling life insurance at the time. And I remember my 2 secretaries came in the office one day on a Friday. They closed the door and he said, we got to talk to you. I said, okay. What is it? He said, you look like death warmed over. And I said, what? And he said, you do. And I said, well, I never feel like this. I gave him the symptoms. And they said, well, you probably had the Asian flu. This was the second time the Asian flu came back to the United States. And I had a friend of mine who was also salesman. He said, come with me. He said, I'm going out to Detroit. I was up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He said, I got to pick up a new car. I said, fine. Folks, and if I walked from here to that door, I was exhausted. I mean, exhausted. And we stopped for dinner, and I said, Carl, you got to take my arm to help me get at the restaurant. I won't make it on my own. So anyway, we got there, and we came back, and he said, get in bed, and just stay in bed, get plenty of juice and all this. You ought to be fine Monday morning. I got one Monday morning. I was getting ready to shave. I remember looking down, I had a wristwatch on at the time. And the next moment I knew I was on the floor and I had lost 15 minutes of time. I passed out. So I called my doctor and I said, I think I have the Asian flu. Why do you think you have that? And I gave him some. He said, yep, you got the Asian flu. He said, come here into the hospital. I was only 3 blocks away from the hospital. I said, oh, he said, take your time. I said, what time do you want me to be there? He said, 15 minutes. So I walked up in there, and I walked in with Weatherworth Hospital, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And as I walked up, again, I was tired walking up the hill. And I walked in, I remember this nurse looked at me, and I said, my name is Charles Douglas. He said, get in that wheelchair. And he woke me in out, and I was in the emergency room. And I never saw an emergency room operate so fast as it did this time. Doctor took my blood pressure and all this. Took it, he said, you're bleeding internally. And he said, your white blood count is at, well, anything at 5 or below cell count, you're supposed to be in a coma, unconscious. Mine was 3.5. And I was walking around selling. And he said, we got to find your blood type, and my blood type is AB negative, which is sort of rare. And he said, we have to find it within 2 hours or you're going to be dead. That's it. I said, okay, so they had like 5 policemen that told me they were out there trying to find my blood type and they couldn't find it. So I got down, so they were putting a saline solution into my veins. And I said, well, if you're doing that, I ought to be fine. And they said, no. They said, it's keeping your blood vessels from collapsing. But it's thinning your blood. So you may have another problem. Well, it took them an hour to get my blood. Get in. And first blood transfusion didn't go. It failed. So I thought, well, we're going to have an interesting time. So anyways, it started doing it. And I remember, I wish I had more time to do it, but I always thought of myself as a self-made man. And fortune came to me, earning a living, earning money was no problem at all. Believe it. And I remember being in the hospital, and I sent life insurance. I had one of the best insurance plans that you could ever have. And there was no room in the hospital. I had to be placed in a 14-man ward. And it was the best experience I've ever had. Being there, I remember looking out the window. It was in February, 1st of February. And and the sun was melting the icicles. And I remember saying to him, I said, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen. I know I'm within death. And all I ask is this, that you give me strength unto die, that you will give me strength to face death. If I'm to live, I want strength to face life. And I was like, well, you should see that. I had an operation. To cut a long story short, I had cancer. I had a cyst the size of a grapefruit. And it never showed up on any of the x-rays that was taken. So I was coming back, and I remember, now I moved here to Georgia, and I would be married again, and I came back with my family here. I remember I was trying to find a church. I was divorced. And I was going around trying to find out what church I wanted to go to. And over at the Methodist church, there was a woman associate minister. I was telling her about my problem. I had a big peg party. And she's laughing. I said, must be funny. She said, I think it's hilarious. She says, Charles, don't you realize that she said you made a covenant or a contract with God, and he's honoring it. She said, with all the problems that you told me you've had, she said, most people would break. And you're sitting there, and you're looking up on it is, and it's just a common occurrence. Well, through my life going on through this, I've had a lot of experiences like all this. I have arthritis throughout my whole body. And my doctor back there, Dr. Newman, knows what I'm going to talk about. I was so much pain that I would wake up at night screaming in pain. I remember on a Saturday, I was coming down, saw this office like all on Saturdays, and I pulled in. Now, Nancy, if I make any mistakes, I want you to stand up and correct me, okay? So anyway, I walked in, it was like 5 minutes after 10, and she said, well, she was getting ready to close, and I could come back on Monday. I said, fine. And her husband's there, and he said, well, I can make it do it. So she said, okay, come on back. I didn't leave her office until 12:33 that afternoon. And she did a marvelous job in doing this. I recommend her very highly, by the way. But anyway, this is the pain that I had. But now I want to go back to the hospital again to talk to you about prayer. There was a man that was in the ward with us. And he was riding his motor tractor plowing. And the seat broke, and he fell off, and his tractor ran up over him and dragged him down the road, about a quarter of a mile. Cars were on the highway, and no one stopped to help him, except 2 hippies. Back was broken, several places. And he was in the hospital, and they were changing his back brace. And you talk about a guy that was in pain when he went to sleep at night. I thought I had pain, but remembered he was in. It was horrible. And I remember one night, that was my second night in the hospital, and I was praying to God that he would take this pain away from this man. And I was praying so hard, and all of a sudden I noticed it was quiet in that room, just like it is right now. I looked over that nighttime, you can see in the dark. I looked at the other people, and they were doing, you could see them breathing. I looked at this man, he wasn't breathing, or at least I didn't think so. I said, oh God, I didn't ask you to kill him, I just asked you to take him. And all once he gave a sigh, I said, thank you, God. I know those who went to sleep. Next morning he woke up and he said, guys, he said, remember, I was in a lot of pain. He said, I'm probably distributed. And we all lied and said, no, he didn't. But anyway, that was a thing how prayer can work. Going through how the hour of power has helped me. I could tell a lot more stories. I wish I could go into more detail because a lot of it is funny. But last Christmas or last November, I'm a courier and I lost a couple of wells. And I electricity in my house. Not much. I have an all-electric house. I had no heat. I didn't have electric. My stove wouldn't work. I had just maybe a couple lights in the room I could do, and that was it. And I happened to mention it by chance today. And I went to Pastor, and all once he said, "Hey, we can help you out." I said, "What? We can." And through this, the church has helped me to replace the electrical thing in my house. So I can now have heat, which I did, even in the winter. So I just wanted to say, this is my testimony, that God is always working. It's not just one time, but He's constantly. I remember now, and with this one thing, I prayed one day that God would watch over my car and me as I was driving. Now I drive at that time like 1,500 miles a week. An hour and 5 minutes later, I was in an accident. I was T-boned. And I mean T-boned. The cop arrived and said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "You can't." I had to get out and dance around my car and walk around. As you know, I like dancing. And the emergency squad came and he said too, he said, "Well, we'll take you to the hospital." "No, I don't need to go. I'm fine." I had to go out and dance around the car and do it. So see how prayer can work. I use Psalm 91 every day. So anyway, this is my story. That prayer.
Of course, as you know, we were down in Templeton Baptist Church last weekend, having them celebrate their homecoming. And a lot of times you get to meet and find some newfound friends. So that's what we did down in Templeton last week. We met some new friends that love the Lord, love to sing, and we asked them if they would come share some of that with us tonight. So we have the S&T trio over here, and we have Miss Barbara Turner. Come on the piano, Barbara. She is the piano player. Her brother, David, stay here. I guess you sing lead, David? He said he sung one. And then Sue, isn't that a nice name, Sue Say? Sue Say. Okay, it's David and Sue Say and Barbara Turner of the A and J, the S&T trio. I'll get it right. So just do what you. They've got some songs for us, and I'll play you back there. Okay. David may have to put it back in it again, huh?
David, put it in.
I'm satisfied with just a country road, a little
He's gonna talk, man.
Go ahead, Daddy. Education. I'm a sinner saved by grace.
Amen.
I went to the doctor one time. He said I was going to have a stent. I left College Room going to St. Joseph. When I got to St. Joseph, I was laying on the bed. The doctor walked in and he said, "Let's say," he said, "you don't need a stent. You need open heart surgery." I mean, he knows that the Bible tells you not to worry. But you know what I done? Big time. I had to lay there 24 hours waiting on open heart surgery. But God spoke to me and told me. He said, "You're one of mine." And I never worried no more. There are some things I may not know. There are some places I can't go. But I am sure of this one thing, that God is real, for I can feel Him in within. Yes, God is real, real in my soul. Yes, God is real, for He has washed and made me whole. His love for me is like pure gold. Yes, God is real, for I can feel Him in my soul. Some folks may bow, some folks may scorn, walk and desert and leave me alone. But as for me, my way goes on, for God is real, and I can feel Him in my heart. Yes, God is real, real in my soul. Yes, God is real, for He has washed and made me whole. His love for me is like pure gold. Yes, God is real, for I can feel Him in my soul. I cannot tell just how you felt when Jesus took your sins away. But since that day, yes, since that hour, God has been real, for I can feel His holy power. Yes, God is real, real in my soul. Yes, God is real, for He has washed and made me whole. His love for me is like pure gold. Yes, God is real, for I can feel Him in my soul. Yes, God is real, for I can feel Him in my soul.
I'd like to say tonight that I love the Lord, and I thank Him for saving my soul. And if you'd have told us 6 months ago that we was going to be singing, I'd have said, no way, no way. But our preacher told us something one time. Can't, never could do nothing. Couldn't, wouldn't, but try caught a rabbit. If you try for the Lord, He's going to open doors, and He's going to bless you, and He's going to give you places to sing and people to hear you. And He's going to bless your voices to blend together. And we're going to sing now another look at Calvary, and that's kind of been our theme song, because we want to look at Calvary, and it says to be in His will, and that's what we pray for, to be in His will.
Fifth. My Wilbur. We've been married just over 50 years, and last week I went up to North Carolina for 9 days to do a little job up there, and I just missed her so terribly. So good to be back. I know a little bit about church. I don't have a dramatic testimony like a lot do, but know a little bit about church. The last 20 years of my working life, basically, I was the First Baptist Church in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I ran the maintenance department down there, and so David, we have wood in common. I'm actually by trade a carpenter, was a contractor for many years in North Carolina and Florida, and do some home repairs up here too. But one of the things I learned in the 20 years I worked at First Baptist in Fort Lauderdale, two things. Number one, I was very involved in singles ministry, and God really blessed there. Not just me, but the singles department. We just had a great, great time. The second thing was we were very involved in missions, and particularly to Nicaragua, and went down there probably 12, 15 times on mission trips down there. If there was a mission trip that involved construction, I was down there with a group. And I remember on one trip going down there, we had a young man with us named Daryl Dotche. And Daryl was between jobs and really questioning what God was going to do in his life. And he'd applied for AirTran, I believe it was a flight attendant. And didn't know whether he was going to get that job or not. But he questioned about God's will in his life. You know, what does God want me to do? And I remember one afternoon we were, and this is in Santa Rosa, which is north of Managua. We were walking down this old dirt road, and Daryl was saying again, I just don't know what God wants me to do in my life. I don't know what God's will is for me. And I said, Daryl, the easiest thing to ever know is God's will. He said, is it really? And I said, yes, because you can wait 15 years and look back and you'll see what God's will was back then. And that's pretty much what it is. And same way with us each and every day. But God's will in our lives as we look back is something that we see on a day-to-day basis as we look back those years. I was from Connecticut, moved to Fort Lauderdale when I was 11. My dad had pneumonia twice in one winter while we were up there. And, you know, wondered why. I love Connecticut, love that area up there. And, you know, why would God move us to down there where the palm trees are and the sunshine and all the humidity? Don't know, didn't know. And between 6th and 7th grade, my mom and dad had picked out a house they wanted to buy on Southwest 9th Avenue. All the arrangements were made, seemed like it was going to go through, and then I spent the summer with my grandparents back in Connecticut. And only to find out that that deal didn't go through. They bought a house on Southwest 18th Street. Well, why is it? Because God is sovereign. God's will is always the one that's going to be done. And I remember just before 7th grade started, I had this sweet, sweet, godly man come over to our house and asked my mom if it would be okay if I went to Bible camp with he and his 3 kids. With his 3 kids this particular summer in Boca Raton, which is just north of Fort Lauderdale. And she asked me, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? So
Under God, we need to recognize we're dependent on His goodness.